We've got Mazda's first full electric vehicle, the MX-30.
They made some very interesting decisions with this electric car. Let's get into it. It's always nice to be driving the first of something, the very first electric car from Mazda, the very first MX-30.
Yeah.
What's under the hood of this one?
A 35.5 kilowatt hour battery powering an electric motor with 143 horsepower, 200 pound-feet of torque. There's 161 kilometers of EV range. That's 100 miles. Front-wheel drive is standard.
I don't know if you noticed in the back seat, Andrea, there's a massive elephant.
In the room.
We're going to get to the massive elephant in a moment, but right now, this car comes nicely equipped. Let's get into the key standard features.
The MX-30 base model comes with an 8.8-inch audio display system, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a 7-inch touchscreen for climate control, heated steering wheel, black-gray combination cloth upholstery, heated front seats, manual driver and passenger seats, LED headlights and LED taillights, and blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert.
We do this, the Couple Car Review, twice a week. Now, we have a big dial here. What do we have to put it in?
You got to put it in S for subscribe, and if you can hit the notification bell, you'll be notified when all our videos drop, and then you can watch them.
Another way to find out is Instagram. Andrea's is Motormouth_Andrea. From me, it's Motormouth_Auto, and the links are below. This video is brought to you by Car Cost Canada. Get the dealer's cost, list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code Motormouth to become an expert member and get extra searches. The link is in the description below.
Ooh, quiet, smooth.
Powerful. Andrea, did you bring all the peanuts to feed the elephant in the back?
He's wanting lots.
The elephant in the room is what, Andrea?
Well, it's the range. The EV range is 161 kilometers, 100 miles. Not quite good enough.
Hello, is it 2010? I mean, listen. Car companies make these decisions and they have to live by their decisions. This decision, I think, in North America is folly. I think you're not going to sell many with that kind of range.
And if you do buy one, it has to be a second vehicle. The other vehicle that you have, whether it's an SUV or a minivan, that can take you on those long trips. Mazda has partnered with ChargePoint, and they're giving a $500 credit. Or if you don't have a charger in your home, you can use that towards the charger. In the US, they're also giving you a non-EV courtesy vehicle for 10 days for 3 years. So if you have to go on those long trips, you have a vehicle. Now that kind of is a short-term solution for a long-term problem, but it's something. In Canada, that is not offered. Instead, you get free scheduled maintenance for 2 years.
I said they should have given free oil changes for 2 years. Like,
they didn't love that.
Free scheduled maintenance on an electric car. You take it in and you check it out. Basically, that's it for 2 years. Anyway.
Well, you do have to go in probably once a year. There is some scheduled maintenance on it, and it's free.
Okay, right out of the gate, this is only being sold in 3 jurisdictions in North America: California, in Quebec, and in British Columbia.
That's right.
That's because of zero emission mandates for vehicles. And in Canada, they actually believe they're going to sell more of these than they're going to sell in the United States.
Yeah, they have an aggressive plan for Canada for sure. There are provincial rebates in those provinces as well as a federal rebate that can go towards this. Now, how about the drive? Does this not handle beautifully?
There was a big, long explanation into all the technical stuff about this that we sat through this morning. Let's just put it like this. This is based on the CX-30 platform, but it actually has better handling and better performance because it's a battery electric vehicle.
Yeah, and the steering is a little bit heavier. It just handles so well. You can maneuver it in the city easily, and it really does feel like there's a lot of torque, 200 pound-feet.
Yeah, even though this car is heavier than the vehicle it's based on, the CX-30, it's more satisfying because you get that instantaneous torque.
It has a dynamic drive. It does feel a little bit different than other EVs that I've been in.
And I like the look of it. It's very nice and sharply designed.
Yeah.
However, there's one design choice I just don't understand, and those are the suicide doors in the back. This is so limiting for getting kids in and out of the back seat.
Yeah.
The parents are always having to open their door to let the kids in and out. I just find it as a limiting marketplace. Just look at the Hyundai Veloster N with that third weird door in the back. They can't give those things away.
Well, actually, Mazda says that it is easier to get the kids in and out because you've got these wide opening doors. Now, Zach, I don't disagree with you. They call them wide freestyle doors.
But mom and dad, if they're dropping, here's a perfect example. You're driving on your own and you got your two kids in the back seat. You want to let them out at school, you have to get out, walk around, open the front door, open the back door to let them out.
Not convenient.
That's not convenient. These are their design choices. But then we get into the inside, and I think that we're looking at the future of Mazda interiors, and I like it.
I think it's beautiful. They're using sustainable products like cork. Did you know that Mazda started out as a cork company?
I did. I knew that. I didn't know that.
And then also they're using fibers from plastic water bottles that have been recycled.
I like the sort of faux felt look on the top of the door cards, and in the middle of the door cards, you get cork on the door handle, cork in the center, almost floating island here.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
I really like on this top trim as well the leatherette seats with the cloth upholstery. They're stitching throughout. They've done a really beautiful job. We've got the display screen that is controlled by the center console dial, a wonderful traditional shifter in the center console, and then this 7-inch climate control screen.
I kind of like buttons myself, but that's the way it's going. Everything's going to screens. You know why? Because screens are cheap.
We're driving the top trim, and it has the sunroof. It has a power driver's seat. Unfortunately, Zach, you've got the manual over here. It doesn't come with power passenger seat.
Or height adjustment, but it seems to be at a good position for me anyway.
And it has a 12-speaker Bose sound system as well. Moving back to the second row seat, Zach, you look pretty comfortable back there. I think the headroom for someone who's 6 feet isn't too bad.
It's actually pretty roomy. It's the getting in and out with the doors. You have to get your head around, but the headroom is actually pretty good, and the seats are comfortable. I think it's actually not bad. It's just the doors.
And in comparison to the CX-30, it is quite a bit smaller, second row space as well as cargo overall and cargo space behind the second row.
But it does a pretty good job with carry-on and a cooler.
Yes, it looks pretty good back there. You can certainly fit carry-on in a cooler, no problem. It's just the height that might be a bit of a problem.
Now, you had questions almost entirely about range. What a shock. Let's get into it.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
It never rains in Vancouver, they say. All right, time for your questions from Instagram.
Do you think Mazda missed an opportunity on battery output and range? Will this limit the appeal to consumers shopping for an EV, especially one equipped, selling for over $47,000?
Well, we sat through the presentation today, and they even admitted the number one reason to buy an electric car is?
Yep, EV range.
It's the range.
That's the first thing that people look at. And this doesn't have it with 161 kilometers or 100 miles. It's just not up to par with something else that has 385, like
400 plus.
Yeah, like the Bolt. I really like the look of this Mazda, but why would I buy this over something like the Hyundai Kona EV with a lot more EV range? Well, I think that's the question. What Mazda said in the presentation that we were at is that it's the way it handles, the dynamic feel that it offers. It doesn't feel necessarily like a typical EV, and they use sustainable materials in here as well.
None of that matters if you don't have the range. The reality is that these were Canadian stats.
Yeah.
The vast majority, 80+% of people,
86%.
Yeah, they have 2 cars, and some of them even have 3 cars.
Yeah.
So this car is targeted at those people that have a minivan or an SUV if they want to go on a long-range trip.
Yeah.
This is just for bombing around the neighborhood, running errands, taking kids to school, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what they're hoping with this. But it's a very limited market, if you ask me.
And I think that would work well for our family. We own an SUV. We would get this, let's say, as a second or third vehicle, and we don't do 161 kilometers a day. But what's the resale value on this when you go and sell it at the end?
Listen, This is 2010 battery EV range.
The Leaf had it,
The
yeah.
first Nissan Leaf had the same range as this all those years ago.
Yeah.
And what's this going to be worth in 5 years? Everything is about, you know, you get a new phone, it's got a better battery, a better camera, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same with electric cars.
Option for a 64 kilowatt hour battery. No, Mazda purposely went with the 35.5 kilowatt hour to keep it lighter.
Yeah, and also this is packaged for different parts of the world, which is actually quite clever. So if you have the plug-in version, then for jurisdictions where you don't have good charging infrastructure and you have to drive long distances, you have that onboard generator, which I wish they had brought here first in North America. So they have it scalable. In Japan, in fact, they even have a gasoline engine on board.
Yep.
So it's like a regular hybrid. So they have a scalable platform.
And in Europe, they are selling this already, and it's actually selling fairly well. So maybe it works in some areas versus others. We'll see. We'll see how it all sells.
Our next question is our hot topic. What's this one, Andrea?
At this price point, are there any competitive advantages that make this really stand out over the competition, given the glaring drawback on range?
If you weren't calculating in the range and you just looked at this as a car compared to its competitive set, it definitely has some advantages. It handles well, it's got a beautiful interior and even some new technology, right?
Yes, it now comes with front cross-traffic alert and blind spot assist, two new features for the Mazda lineup, and this MX-30 is the first one to get it.
So if you just looked at this interior compared to the other vehicles roughly the same price, it kicks them all over town. It's not even close.
No.
But what's the most expensive part of an electric car, Andrea?
The battery.
The battery. That's what they always tell us. So if it's got a tiny little battery compared to the competition, why isn't it a lot cheaper?
I know. I mean, you can get a Tesla Model 3 rear wheel drive, 423 kilometers for just under $53,000. So if you're looking for range, this one is probably not for you, but if you're looking to electrify and it's a second vehicle, this might be right for you. Range anxiety is a real thing, and I know that, speaking to our followers and subscribers, that people worry about this. I don't think this is going to be for everybody. Mazda is not targeting the masses here. They have already said that. They are focusing on people that like their product. They like their idea of sustainable materials being used and the dynamic drive. And if that fits within your lifestyle, this might be right for you. This category is going to become more competitive. So if brands are offering more range, where does this MX-30 sit amongst all of them? I can't imagine, like you said, Zach, that resale value being very good.
Well, while we're on the topic, what else can you buy for roughly the same money?
For your consideration, 4 vehicles for you to consider.
Up first is the Hyundai Kona EV. It's powered by a 201 horsepower electric motor with 415 kilometers of EV range. It has a starting price of $43,500.
Next is the Kia Niro with 385 kilometers of EV range. It has a 201 horsepower electric motor and a starting price of $45,000.
The VW ID4 is powered by a 201 horsepower electric motor with 400 kilometers of EV range and a starting price of just under $45,000.
Next is the Chevrolet Bolt EUV with 387 kilometers of EV range, 200 horsepower, and a starting price of just over $40,000. So there are 4 electric vehicles for you to consider. So let's get into a little bit more detail with our vital stats.
Let's start with pricing. The base model starts at just over $42,000 and the top GT trim is just over $47,000. Here's the fuel economy. The MX-30 gets 2.4 liters equivalent per 100 kilometers in the city and 2.8 on the highway. At this time, there are no US numbers on the Mazda website for fuel economy. Mazda offers a warranty of 3 years with unlimited kilometers in Canada and 3 years or 36,000 miles in the US.
Lightning round, 2 things you like to see improved.
I love how this drives and handles and the beautiful interior. What I'd like to see more
But
of...
let me guess. Range?
You got it. And maybe a height adjustment on the passenger side.
Well, I like the same things. I like the way it drives and I love this new interior. What I'd like to see is, you guessed it, more range, and I wish they had brought the plug-in version of this one first to get people excited about what they have.
Overall, Mazda did a really good job with its first kick at the can. It just needs more range.
It delivers on all of their attributes: handling, style, interior materials. There's the R word, range. This video is brought to you by Car Cost Canada. Get the dealer's cost, list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code Motormouth to become an expert member and get extra searches. The link is in the description below.